Ryan Leaf, Caleb Williams. Whoa, I did not expect this to be in the news cycle. Wow, just wow. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Ryan Leaf warning NFL teams about the hype surrounding Caleb Williams in the 2024 NFL Draft. Ryan Leaf went on the Dan Patrick Show and trashed Caleb Williams as he noted that there were several red flags surrounding Caleb Williams. These comments about Caleb Williams have been significant to take note of because Ryan Leaf himself was a massive draft bust in the NFL. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So here it is. Do you agree with Ryan Leaf's comments about Caleb Williams? For the people that don't know what Ryan Leaf had to say about Caleb Williams, I'll give you guys a summary, then I'll go ahead and play the clip for everybody to go see in terms of what Ryan Leaf had to say about Caleb Williams. Ryan Leaf basically was talking about how Caleb Williams was not as good as advertised and that he needs to sit a year if he is going to get drafted as high as he is going to be because of the fact that Caleb Williams' NFL game is not as polished as what some people are thinking. In other words, I am going to say that I am in agreement with Ryan Leaf. Do I agree with everything he said about him? No, but before I ramble on about what Ryan Leaf had to say about Caleb Williams, I'd rather show you guys what he had to say on the Dan Patrick Show. I thought his take on Caleb Williams was rather interesting. Roll the film.
Well, because 75% of what he made him so great in college is not transferable to the NFL. He's not going to be able to do that. He can't do what he did in college 75% of the time and be successful at the NFL level. He can do the 25% part at the NFL level, but he needs some time. He needs to get under center. He needs to understand how to throw on time, on platform, from the pocket. What he can do off platform is what makes him so exciting, because he may be one of the most talented quarterbacks in this year's draft and many in the past year's draft. But he is a guy that I don't think can be a starter on day one. And I think they wanted to do that with Justin Fields, but like any team that drafts any quarterback in the top 5, you're expected to play immediately.
Wow, strong comments coming from Ryan Leaf. For the people that don't know who Ryan Leaf is, he is a former NFL draft bust for the San Diego Chargers. I consider Ryan Leaf to be one of the biggest busts in the history of the NFL. The only people that can rival Ryan Leaf in terms of bust level are Johnny Manziel and Jamarcus Russell. But outside those two guys, Ryan Leaf is probably the biggest bust in the history of professional football. For him to make the comments that he made about Caleb Williams, I found that to be rather interesting because of the fact that Ryan Leaf is a former draft bust himself. I consider Caleb Williams to be a future draft bust as well. I think Caleb Williams is not as good as advertised. I see a lot of people saying that Caleb Williams is a generational talent, but I see a lot of generational bust coming out of Caleb Williams. I think a lot of things that Caleb Williams does well is not really transferable to the NFL level. Now, if you want to talk about Caleb Williams at the collegiate level, well, I'm going to tell you guys that Caleb Williams is a phenomenal quarterback and that there is no arguing that. I think a lot of what Caleb Williams did at USC was pretty impressive, and I thought that he elevated the receiving core a lot. So obviously, I have to give Caleb Williams credit from that front, but as far as leadership skills attained to Caleb Williams, I don't think he is going to be a great leader in the National Football League. I think that he has first-round talent, but I see undraftable leadership skills coming out of Caleb Williams. This guy is not a real leader of men. This guy paints his fingernails as one of his hobbies. You also look at how Caleb Williams is a crybaby as well. When his team lost against Washington, what did Caleb Williams do? Instead of shaking hands with the opponent, he decided to jump up in the stands and cry in his mother's arm. Who does that? There is something seriously wrong with Caleb Williams in terms of mental leadership. Now, do I think Caleb Williams is a hell of a talent? Absolutely. I think Caleb Williams has a rocket of an arm. I think he can run around the pocket pretty well, and I think Caleb Williams can make off-schedule plays pretty efficiently as well. Now, the problem with Caleb Williams that Ryan Leaf was talking about was that he never played under center and that he doesn't necessarily play in structure. I don't necessarily agree with what Ryan Leaf said completely. I think that there is a lot of reason to trash Caleb Williams, but I don't think it has anything to do with physical ability. I think it has everything to do with mental ability. Now, do I think Caleb Williams could be a better player physically speaking? Absolutely. But you could say that about any and every draft prospect around this time of the year. You could say that they need to improve on X, Y, and Z. My point is Caleb Williams is a phenomenal football player on the field. My issue with Caleb Williams comes from off the field, and I wish Ryan Leaf had addressed that in the Dan Patrick Show because he didn't address that nearly enough. He focused way too much on Caleb Williams' skill set on the field, and that's not going to be a winning battle. Now, do I think Caleb Williams will end up living up to the hype at the NFL level, I don't see that happening. I think Caleb Williams needs to play in structure more often. I think he needs to be more willing to take check downs and take the open man, because in college football, you can run around, find an open man, no issue. But at the NFL level, when NFL defenders are really fast, you have to be able to find your check down outlets, and you have to be willing to play on schedule. That's what makes Patrick Mahomes so great. Yes, Patrick Mahomes can play off schedule, but you know what else Patrick Mahomes can do? Patrick Mahomes can play on schedule. He is one of the best quarterbacks when it comes to finding the open man and check downs, and I've been really impressed with the evolution of Patrick Mahomes, because when Patrick Mahomes came out of Texas Tech, what did people think about Patrick Mahomes? They thought of him as some gunslinger that didn't know the ins and outs of the game of football, but Patrick Mahomes has proven everybody wrong in terms of being able to find a check down man and being able to play on schedule. Obviously, Caleb Williams hasn't mastered that part of the game yet. Do I think Caleb Williams can do it? Maybe, but he's going to have to put in the work in order to really figure out that part of the game. It's going to be a one thing. Can Caleb Williams physically do it? Absolutely, but does Caleb Williams mentally want to change his part of the game? I just don't see that happening. Caleb Williams has one of the biggest egos that I've ever seen from a draft prospect. He's a flat-out weirdo at best and a flat-out horrible leader at worst. I think there are a lot of red flags surrounding Caleb Williams. I have a 4th round grade on Caleb Williams. Why do I say 4th round grade? Because I see 1st round talent in him, but I see undraftable intangibles in Caleb Williams. So when you combine those scores, that leads to me saying that Caleb Williams has a 4th round grade on my end. But that's not because Caleb Williams isn't a physical talent. It's because Caleb Williams has poor leadership skills. I'm not sure you can really fix that heading into the NFL game. You look at how Josh Rosen, he was a great talent at UCLA, but he was a horrible leader, and what happened? Josh Rosen sucked at the NFL level. Now, that could also be because Josh Rosen was too slow to play the NFL game, and I don't think Caleb Williams has that issue. The issue that I do see with Caleb Williams is that he is not necessarily a great leader of men. I don't think Caleb Williams is a guy that players are going to go around and rally with. I think Caleb Williams is a guy that has a lot of red flags surrounding him, and this dude wants to be a part-time owner. Caleb Williams wants to own a team. If he gets drafted by them, he's obviously not going to get it, but the fact that they're even talking about it is absolutely crazy in my mind. What has Caleb Williams even done to earn that kind of discussion? If Patrick Mahomes couldn't even be a part-time owner for the Kansas City Chiefs, then why should Caleb Williams even be in the discussion to be a part owner for an NFL franchise? And then it's also the fact that Caleb Williams always wants to do things his way instead of adjusting to the system. Caleb Williams talks as if he is the greatest prospect to have ever lived on planet Earth, but in reality, Caleb Williams is a guy that has a lot of red flags surrounding his leadership, and even his on-the-field stuff isn't really all that great. Do I think he's a great physical talent? Yes, but it takes more than great on-field physical talent in order to be a great quarterback. Everybody says Caleb Williams has a cannon for an arm. Guess what? It doesn't really matter in my mind, because Drake May also has a cannon for an arm. If you don't want to use Drake May because you think he's already a great prospect, well, I'm going to use a scrub for an example of a guy that has great arm strength but can't actually play. I'm going to use Joe Milton. He's the quarterback coming out of Tennessee. He has a cannon for an arm. Does that mean he's actually a good quarterback? Absolutely not, because Joe Milton is trash at the quarterback position. He can't play. He's not an NFL caliber quarterback. He's also in the same draft class as Caleb Williams, Drake May, and these other guys. So obviously, arm strength is not the end-all be-all. I think Caleb Williams has amazing arm strength. I think his mobility is really good. I think he can make certain throws that not a lot of people can make on the planet. But the problem with Caleb Williams is all about leadership. Can Caleb Williams figure out that leadership part of the game? And also on the field too, can he figure out how to just take what the defense gives him? Can he find the open man instead of trying to be greedy and always trying to make a great play all the time? Can he really control his lack of leadership abilities? Can Caleb Williams really try to become a better person to teammates? I'm not saying Caleb Williams is a criminal, but what I am saying about Caleb Williams is that it seems like he cares more about the brand more so than he actually cares about football. But if Caleb Williams can figure out that mental side of leadership, then maybe he can be a great quarterback. But I don't think he's going to figure it out. I think he's going to live up to being a massive draft bust. The fact that Ryan Leaf is already seeing red flags in Caleb Williams, that should tell you everything that you need to know about Caleb Williams himself. If a former draft bust that had a lot of issues in terms of leadership is telling you that Caleb Williams is not that guy at the NFL level, you should probably be listening to that guy. And speaking of Ryan Leaf, congrats to Ryan Leaf for being able to recover from his problems off the field. You see how Ryan Leaf is now a college analyst, so obviously he's recovered in his life pretty well. Yeah, he was one of the biggest draft busts in NFL history. He's been able to overcome his drug issues. Now he can be a college analyst where he's really sober, and he really gives good analysis more often than not. I might not agree with everything Ryan Leaf says, but Ryan Leaf made a lot of solid points when talking about Caleb Williams. I don't agree with all the comments they made about Caleb Williams, but I agree with enough of it to come to the conclusion that Caleb Williams will be a draft bust. I got that happening, so does Ryan Leaf. So that's why I agree with Ryan Leaf's comments about Caleb Williams, as he will end up being a major draft bust at the NFL level. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.